Hello, this is Andrea Alexander, co-founder of Embody and Embody Community. And today I am choosing to share with you some of the body language signals that come up for us because we have experienced trauma. And you may have, or you may have yet to hear that my experience was repressed sexual trauma as a child. And trauma can show up for us in a vast number of ways. We may have had a car experience, we may have had emotional neglect, or we may have had parents who had addiction. We may have experienced a traumatic death in our family. So trauma shows up not only as sexual, and yet trauma will show up in our bodies in many of the same ways as it's desiring to get our attention in some form or fashion so that we can literally address what is going on with us. And what we tend to do, because we have been yet to learn or have yet to have been taught how to feel. And our parents had no, they weren't taught to feel, and our grandparents weren't taught to feel, and great grandparents certainly weren't taught to feel. And so if you imagine the time in the time where your parents, grandparents, and great grandparents were living and are living, that we have yet to be taught how to really love and feel and touch ourselves from on an emotional level. And so what we do, if we have the memory, we may push it down, and then there are those of us that, as a means of survival, we literally repress the memory. And so that was my experience, because my traumatic experience, I believe that there was one around the age of 3, and then others from 5 on for a period of time. And so one of my patterns for a long time was saying, I don't know, I don't understand, I can't get it, I don't remember. And this is how my trauma went into my body, as a forgetting, on purpose, for survival. And I've, for a very long time, also, one of my word patterns has been, I can't say. I can't say how I feel. I don't know how I feel. And so this is the pattern where I had fear of expressing what happened to me. And so those are the word patterns are some of the tools that we use when we're discovering what's really wired in our bodies. And for the body language piece, some of the ways that trauma shows up, and some of these were new for me to be aware of as well. You may experience light sensitivity or sound sensitivity, and I am aware that my eyes do tend to be sensitive to light. And so I'm a very prominent sunglass. I wear sunglasses, and I remember that sound, being in large crowds or really loud music, is feels overwhelming to me. And so this is one of the experiences you may have in your body because of some kind of trauma. You may experience mood swings and go from uh, irritated to rage to frustration and crying. And I remember as a child having this pent up anger that I had no clue where it was coming from. And the only way I was ever able to find any way of moving it is I would run upstairs and I would pull all the things off my bed, the bedspread, the sheets, everything, and just and that would move the energy and I'd make my bed and I'd feel okay. And what's kind of funny is because now I'm aware that when we give ourselves permission to feel, that the feelings that we are experiencing will typically move through us in anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds. Um, we may experience tremendous issues with self-esteem, and this plays on massive guilt and shame. We may experience difficulty sleeping, going to sleep, staying asleep, sleep apnea. We may have dreams. There may be panic attacks. And because my memories were repressed, when I finally felt enough pain in my body and just tired of it and chose to remember so that I could move through my experiences, I was experiencing 15 to 20 panic attacks a day. I was pretty much at home all of the time for 6 months to a year. And fortunate for family and other forms of support that I created for myself. Avoidance. And we tend to avoid people and circumstances. We may stay at home. We won't answer the phone. All we do is spend time by ourselves. And this is something that played very, very strong for me. I would, even if somebody knocked on the door, I might get on the floor just so they couldn't see me moving in my house or my apartment. And because it's where I felt really, really safe and secure. Addiction is something that will show up in our bodies. And I had, I used my body and intimacy much more against me than for me. I have had periods of drug abuse, um, alcohol binge drinking. I was a smoker. And so this is all any addiction that we experience is the desire to numb what we feel and to take ourselves out of how much it hurts. And I have flipped all of those at this stage in my life, by choosing to jump in and play and be willing to feel. And so on a more specific, remember having heart palpitations at different times in my life. And so anytime there's anything involved with the heart, we're experiencing some kind of love issue. And we may have it showing up in our body as our heart palpitation. It may be missed beats, arrhythmias, or something along those lines. And yes, it played out in my relationships because my perpetrator was a family member. And so when love shows up as someone who hurts us, are we ever really going to let somebody in? And so anything heart issue is going to be somewhere along the lines we've experienced love as painful, scary, or something along those lines. I also experienced high blood pressure. And high blood pressure is when we are feeling life has a lot of pressure. And what we are doing is we're taking ourselves out of life unconsciously. And what we're doing is we're giving ourselves so little to no joy. And so when we're not experiencing life, not doing anything fun, not enjoying what is available for us, we are literally pulling ourselves out of life because of the pressure that we are here to actually feel and heart again, love. I experienced ADHD also. I remember years and years of feeling as if I was trying to hold the walls up with my head and had my arms up on the walls trying to keep everything together. And ADHD is massive fear and flight or fight. We stay in that. Gotta go, gotta run, can't get away fast enough. Excessive amounts of cortisol in our bodies. And so this is going to show up where we can't be still, we're uncomfortable in crowds, where we cannot, where we're finding it very difficult to pay or give our attention to anything for a period of time because there's massive fear coming up unconsciously. Skin. And our skin is the barrier, or the membrane is actually a better, more conscious term. It's the membrane between ourselves and the outer world, or life. And so if we are experiencing any types of rashes or bumps and boils, acne, any of those that's going to come up under our skin, on our skin, this is us feeling irritated, being angry about how we feel and how we feel about life. And I had at different times of my life massive rashes on my elbows, on my tummy. I've had it on my back. I've had it on my face. And this is all has been about me being uncomfortable about how I feel. And then another way this may show up is if you're feeling tired all the time, chronic fatigue, chronic stress. And tired is same words as trying. And so there's a lot of effort going into getting through the day. And this is massive ease returning. And so I remember when I first started coming into playing with body language, I was literally at a retreat, and I was on the floor doing some yoga, and I'd had in my feet, I had these massive pings that felt like stabbing nails going into my feet, and it would feel in one place in my foot and it would run all the way up my leg, typically into my groin. And so feet are understanding, and our groin area is anything about intimacy. And if we've had sexual trauma, we're going to experience issues with intimacy and being close with others and even ourselves, because we've left our bodies behind. And I remember being on that floor and having the awareness of what my body had so long been trying to share with me what was going on. And this is when I really jumped in and began to do everything in my power, moment to moment, to learn how to listen and create a conversation with myself through my own body and through what was going on and what was coming up. And it is because our bodies are talking to us all day long. And even in this moment, we carry a lot of tension in our necks and shoulders, and our shoulders are our shoulds. And if you just take in a breath and say out, even on the inner, I relax, you can feel your own body let go. And so we have the power to shift what we're experiencing in our bodies. It's the language, the only language body has is to itch or scratch, to hurt, to ache, to fall down, stub your toe, have a rash. It's the only way our body can tell us what's going on inside. And what it's asking us to do is to feel something, scary as it may be, and to make a different choice. And what my symptoms, my heart palpitations, my love issues have turned into is my love stays. So we're taking an a symptom, a signal, and we're giving it, we're choosing what it's actually going to become. And so we don't have to just cut it out, take it out. We are repairing, replacing the same feeling in a completely new and different way. And so my high blood pressure became, I remember my ease and my joy. Love is my ease and my joy. My ADHD is my massive. I walk by faith. I stay in me. I come home in my own body. I am secure. Because when we experience trauma, the greater the trauma, the more we actually leave our body, because the more fear we have, the greater the reason to run and escape. And so what we're doing is we're remembering that it's safe to be us. It's safe to have us. It's safe, secure to have love, to be and feel love, as pure as pure as pure as love can be. My skin issues are me remembering I can stomach abundant feeling. I can feel in ease. I remember I am soothed in feeling what I feel. And tired is I remember my secure. I can and I do in ease. So what are your body symptoms? What are your body signals? What are your supposed weaknesses? And because my weaknesses are I'm transforming them into my great strengths. And so my symptoms have been my weaknesses, and my strengths are what I am transforming. If you desire to jump in and play and learn more about what your body is conversing and saying to you, I encourage you to do so. You can do it. Find us everywhere. You can find us in our Embody page and Embody community. We have body language labs that are all once a month that are a gift that we share with you. And on our pages, you can find lots of different ways to act, interact, and play with Carrie and I. We look forward to being with you. Take care.